Pong completed his BFA from Northwestern Missouri State University in 2009, his MA and MFA from the University of Iowa in 2013. Kwok Pong is currently an assistant professor at Northwest Missouri State University. Pong was named as Ceramics Monthly's Emerging Artist in 2014 and spent 2 summers as a summer resident at the Archie Bray Foundation in 2014 and 2015. He's exhibited and published internationally and nationally. Please welcome.
Hello, everybody. You guys are more than welcome to call me Bobby. I think that will make everybody's life a lot easier. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you very much for NCECA to recognize me as one of the emerging artists, and for the selection committee to choose me for this incredible honor, and everybody here for giving me a chance to talk with you about my work. I also like to extend my gratitude to 2 of my former professors who's currently here in the seat, Maureen Seaman and Laura Cookie. If you guys can give them applause, that would be great. Without them, I won't be here today. Also, my 2 recommenders, Richard Nacken and Andy Castle, have been very supportive throughout the whole career. Thank you. So what do I do? I believe I'm an object maker as an artist. I make objects and work mostly with clay. I think that as an object maker, as an artist, it is our job to ask questions and think, a lot of questions and lots of thinking. And ask ourselves to have desire to discover, we discover, to invent, we invent, to construct, and we construct. Because that's the way how we help ourselves make connection with our environment, and how we fit in and connect. And ultimately, how we reinvent ourselves for going along with this forever changing landscape. The work in this picture is simply showing you the changes that I've made in my body of work for the past couple of years. There is a realization come to me during the 3 years I was studying and spending time in U of Iowa while I was earning my master's degree. I stopped to worry too much about characterizing myself as a ceramics artist or sculptor or whatever the label there's going to be for me. I think this helped me diversify my ability to make connection with other studio area, allowing myself to be more comfortable and accepting that using different material that fit within the context of my work, and help me push the boundary that is in the field that already filled with incredible history. Before I start showing you my current work, I'd like to start off with a statement. This is a statement that I kind of write and keep myself on track in the past couple of years when I was playing with a whole bunch of different material. Proximity of object placement mirror the way relationships work in a person's life. My work is a visual record to express the importance of compact small parts and the interconnection between objects and the spatial relationship. So the root of those objects come from my past where the event that I've encountered and experienced. I remember that when I was little, my grandma would always take me to my grandpa's bakery, which is through this little alleyway, and we walk past this kind of fabrication shop where they build furniture. I always looked at this, there's always a large drill press, some nut and bolt sitting on a messy, dusty table. And next to that is the Allen key and a drill bit and Western nut and bolt. I'm interested in those small parts because I believe that if you look hard enough and close enough, you'll start to see that they're trying to tell you a story. And they're trying to find a way to communicate. All the little things become a hint to tell you a new story within an artificial space. Even the smallest thing like the nut and bolt become a hint and creating a whole new set of meaning. So I made this very simple drill press. For me, it's a way to get an understanding of those small things. It is the fundamental standpoint of a simple but complex relationship that I was looking for. Noticing the relationship we have with our object, and the relationship between one object to another is part of the importance of my work. Instead of giving my viewer answer of what I do, I actually much more interested in creating an environment for them to ask questions and start a conversation. At the end, those small components that are creating a layer of mystery become a gateway for the viewer, and viewer is responsible for creating their own fantasy and reality. So I like to reference my love of man-made objects and use them as inspiration. I'm interested in the beauty of carefully made instruments, tools that help us discover and provide us stability. I think man-made objects talk a lot about the importance of how parts become a whole. Each part of an object of its own, but they need to be able to work together to create a functional thing. The space between objects appear in so many different levels in our practice. For instance, let's say a functional ceramics person, they will have to think about this space between their cups and handle. And how big or how small this space is between the cups and the handle is dependent basically how comfortable the cup will be. And same thing for sculpture, that whether the sculpture is going to pull you in or draw you away. All of which are easy to forget, but it's the most important detail. So, why do I care about space so much, you wonder, right? When I was 17 years old, I moved from Hong Kong, where there's 8 million people. You basically just have to elbow your way through the street, to where there's only 300 people in northern Iowa in a small town called Titonka in Iowa. So it was a life-changing experience, I can tell you that. If you can do that and get yourself out and go to a different country, please do. It's awesome. So, not only it is covering in cornfield, but I also really focusing on the space and interaction between people. And that is what drew my interest the most at that time. I'm learning and experiencing a new way to live with all the space and relationship that I have to have in a different culture. Trying to find all connection and feeling through my environment, so I'm paying more attention to my surrounding and objects, hoping to learn about how to work within the space and how we're supposed to act in a different location and different culture. Ultimately, I come to realize that the space between two objects is the same as between two people. It defines status and helps us define relationship with each other. I hope that people will look at my work and get closer and pay a little bit more attention to those objects' connection. Disassemble them, trying to learn something new about it and its history, and wondering how and why those objects coexist with us. This body of work also allowed me to talk about my other love or my other interests through history of making and inventing. I'm kind of nerding out about the Industrial Revolution and Victorian era. I like the idea that like many scientists and artists, they created something so unique and brilliant during that time that we still are using today, like the light. The notion of an idea having stopped progressing and stopped reinventing themselves helped me make the connection for me between my work and historical references. How they revalue objects and reimagine what an object can be, making them better, trying to improve them, and their idea of how they're always trying to take about something that is known to them to become something that is unknown. So those weird machines is what I draw my inspiration most of the time, and thinking that to reinvent a new way to look at how object and how our relationship with the objects. And more of those instruments. So my work helped me reimagine how to work with clay. What clay is, what clay can be, and what clay can do. Knowing the tradition and the history of material is important for me. and always believed that we should always try to reinvent a way to understand and use the skill that we learn from tradition. For example, we've always been told that everything had to be put together before we can fire it. But I told myself that what if I don't? What will happen? My conclusion for that was maybe I should start epoxy a piece of wood into my clay. And that's kind of what I get to this point. I was looking for material that fit within the context of my work. And this also allowed me to further express my interest of the weight of the material. Both brought together the importance and possibility of combining material to form an object. Working with the different material is like learning a new word in a language. The more word you learn, the better of a sentence you can make. The better of a sentence you can make, the better of a paragraph you can create. And this goes on forever. At the end, for me, my goal is to communicate through visually. In the world of everything is already made, objects all hold value that is far beyond its material. We spend a great deal of time looking at those objects, but what kind of attention do we actually give them? I attracted, interested, and fascinated with the justification of the importance of understanding the process of making them and their history, so we can revise, rewrite, and finding a new technique, and distill the tradition to the future that none of us have previously thought possible. Understand the material, for me, is the foundation for me to recontextualize the object and its existence beyond what the history say about the material tradition, allowing myself to reimagine and reinterpret the predefined path of ceramic history, and ultimately embody the vision of endless possibility in clay. Understand the notion of looking closer of an object is important. Learning how to disassemble a piece of work, use it as opportunity to learn about how our object were made and where it is in the history and where it will be going in the future. Ultimately, making the connection to confliction and relation of how and why those objects coexist among us. And I believe that that's the changes that we can all benefit from. Thank you.